Now, at the time Zionism was born, Europe and its colonialism was cutting up Africa. The British Empire was spread across the world and the sun wasn't setting on it. A corrupt Belgian king had houses of prostitution throughout Europe and was supporting all of them, although some of them he couldn't visit but once a year. And the prostitutes had full support all the year round. Leopold, spending a lot of money, he needed to look around for some place to make some money. The Germans, who had been left out of the colonial scramble, wanted to get in on it somehow. So the conference was held in Berlin. The Germans hosted it. Out of the conference, the Belgians got the Congo, the French got large areas of equatorial Africa. Later the Germans would get 4 good pieces in Africa: Tanzania, Namibia, Southwest Africa, then called the Cameroons, and Togo. Portuguese would get a little more. The largest piece really actually went to the French. They got all of equatorial Africa, equivalent of about 16 nations out of it. Not a single African was consulted. The main thing is that slavery was a business. Jews in countries where slavery was a business was just as much in the business as anyone else. And no apologies.
All right.
In the colonial business, they were just as much in it as anyone else. In the domination of the West Indian trade, they were just as much in it as anyone else. There's a book called Barbados, the First Israel by Lionel Hutchison. When the Jews were driven out of England, before Cromwell invited them back. Barbados was more of a was the leading Jewish colony of the world. And when we look at Christopher Columbus and his exploration, why did some countries in South America have 16 synagogues? If they didn't have no Jews, what would they do with so many synagogues? And who was Columbus in the first place? No one ever proved he was Spanish. No one ever proved he was Italian. There's 7 different places where they say he was born. Faker, hustler, con man who discovered nothing. Some evidence proved he was Jews. Why did the Jews have to leave Spain? They were the money managers of Spain, the grandees. All this is so well documented. There's a book by a Jewish writer, I think, William Katz, and it's called Israel in Europe. Read the chapter called The Jews in Spain. The Africans and the Arabs installed them in Spain as the money managers. When the Africans and the Arabs lost in Spain, they had no mercy in turning on both of them. Spain was whitening up. If Spain was whitening up and expelled the Africans and the Arabs and expelled the Jews too, Spain didn't consider the Jews white, didn't consider the Arabs white, it didn't consider the Africans white, of course. The Dutch East India, the Dutch West India Company, and the chartered companies from England set colonialism in motion. My main point is that Zionism, in the spread of colonialism, walk side by side. In the mythological historical alliance people are speaking about never existed. And that the infiltration of Jews into our organizations, conspicuously giving $1 and making sure their picture got taken while they're giving it, was an element of control.
All right. All right.
Their job was to control the mind. They filtered into positions in education where they could control the curricula, which is the control of the mind. This is the heart and soul of the viciousness of what Zionism has done. You've got Holocaust curriculums mandated. Our children now must write essays on the Holocaust and dare not study the history of slavery. And you've got teachers who will not teach African history and can get away with it because the union is not going to do anything about it.
Right.
Someone took exception to me referring to a Jewish academic mafia. There is a Jewish academic mafia.
All right.
Now let's look at Zionism and let us close, because Zionism is an extension of European mechanism of world dominance. You think it's something that deals with finding a homeland for mistreated people. There's a lot of people involved in Zionism who could care less about whether Jews had a homeland or not. There's discrimination in Israel between the Sephardics and the Ashkenazis, fighting for the upper hand in Israel. They don't want Arabs who are supposed to be Semitics. And they surely don't want blacks. Where they got their religion from in the first place. Israel is nothing but an outpost and a listening post for European world dominance.